Hello, everybody. Welcome to Peace Talks for today. Good morning to many of you who are going to be joining me live. And for those who are joining on the recording, welcome wherever you are, whenever you tune into this recording. It is the perfect message for you. So just because you didn't catch it live does not mean this message isn't for you at the time that you tuned in. Hi, Jessica. Welcome. The important thing to remember about these messages is that these are being co-created. The energy that I'm tuning into is what I am here to do, what I am here to be. I am here to be a channel of a collective community that is here to tune into a specific resonance, a specific message at a specific time. So whether this time is now live or 2 years from now or 3 years ago, it pops up on your YouTube and it says uploaded 3 years ago, it is the perfect energy in that moment for you to tune into. And just know that if that is the case, your consciousness, your higher self knew that you would eventually be at a not a level, but at a space in resonance where this message would be perfect timing, and it drops it in front of you when it is that time. So your consciousness is actually helping to create this message as we speak, as I speak in this moment. So that's the beauty of consciousness. That's the beauty of a collective consciousness that is tuned in to hear the way in which I translate the energy. So I am simply a translator of what you are going to need to hear at a specific time. So thank you all for tuning in here at this moment. These energies, I will tell you, I am experiencing them. That's why I love talking about them, because I'm pretty real with how I'm experiencing them. So I'm going to share a little bit of my own personal journey with these energies in the last couple of days. Some patterns that I'm finding in the energy and in these solar flares. We had I think it was three M class solar flares within 30 minutes. And that is quite impactful. That packs a punch. It really does. And you probably will be feeling this, and you most likely have, in the patterns that I have seen, most likely leading up to a release of the sun in consciousness, we feel the building up of the energy and then the release. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that in today's Peace Talks. But first, I want to just let you in on a couple of things that I loaded up on my YouTube channel to help supplement these messages for the past week, the first week of Peace Talks. We talked about the Jubilee year, and I really wanted to go even deeper into what we can expect to kind of tune into the energy of this Jubilee year by month. So one of the things that I've gotten some feedback about is people like my readings, and I love that people like them because I love doing readings. I love it so much, using tarot cards and oracle cards. So if that is your thing, either way, even if like the actual modality isn't, the message is still quite potent. And I'm pretty down to earth with my messages. So I've uploaded two in the last 24 hours. The first one is a general overview of the entire year by month. So I went through the Jubilee year and went through the theme for each month. And then the second reading that I uploaded was just for now. I'm going to then work on the each theme at each month. I'm going to go deeper into that theme. The theme that came up for October is freedom. And what I can feel is an acceleration happening. So we are going to be experiencing some accelerated freedom, which is the message for today. So if you want to go to that that video, that particular video, you can go deeper into the theme and the month of October. So there might be some nuggets in there that I don't share on the peace talks, but that come out during the different readings. The other thing that I think is quite interesting is exactly a year ago, in October 2021, was when I started doing the daily tune-ins. And I was in Ukraine at the time. I was moving through some pretty heavy healing, as I should say. And I decided to start doing the daily tune-in to give me a focus, to hold me accountable, to really honestly, my personal intention with it was to hold myself accountable, to stay focused on the energy, on the healing work. And I was able to do that by tuning into the energies and understanding where the energies were taking me. And I simply shared it on the daily tune in. And as a result, that was about 9 months of doing that we established a nice community on here that came together to listen in on these messages. And it was a really beautiful time. It was a little unsustainable over time, the everyday thing, which is why I'm doing only 3 days a week now for the peace talks. But here's the interesting thing: we are very much every year we cycle through the same energies almost, cyclic, the astrological environment in which we live is cyclical. And because we are in a higher vibrational state in space, in our orbit, those cycles are amplified, they are accelerating. So I was looking at the very first, I think I think the title of it was "Putting a Stake in the Ground" was the very first daily tune in. And I thought it was really interesting because it very much ties into coming into October in this Jubilee year. This is the first full month. The Jubilee year started on September 25th of this year. And so the majority of the first month is in October, where we have talked last week, we're talking about putting a stake in the ground, tuning into the Jubilee year, the celebration year, the year of abundance and prosperity and expansion and peace, rather than putting our attention on when I say the world of wars, it's really the world of wars inside. It's our, it's the battle between dark and light within us. And many of us have understood that this is our work to do. And there is very much that work that's still being asked and called for in us. And as we have kind of gotten really good at moving through these waves and understanding a little bit more that they are opening up space for us to be in a more receptive mode for peace and joy and prosperity and all of the things that heaven and earth provide, we have to be able to tune out of attaching to that which holds us down, that which makes us dense, that which makes us upset or angry or in fear. So this is where we have to, again, at the beginning of October, put a stake in the ground and truly choose the freedom that October is offering. And in the reading, it's really October is the month where we anchor into this Jubilee year. It's really important that we do the work to only focus on that which brings us freedom. So it's an interesting tie-in with the reading that I did. It's a tie-in to the very first daily tune-in I ever did last year, which is put a stake in the ground. And if you are coming into this, you can also, for the first time and you haven't been through the daily tune-ins, you can start at the daily tune-ins from last year and take some nuggets from where we were last year at the same time, and put together the peace talks messages from this year, the daily tune-in from last year, because the energies are very similar. Just this year, they're a little bit more amplified than last year because of the acceleration in frequency. So it'll be really interesting to see how the similarities of the timing of the cycle that we are moving through is very similar to last year. So we've got this parallel thing going on, and so that the messages together are going to connect dots as we go. So that's something I'm going to be tuning into as well, looking at where were we last year in, energetically, and where are we this year. So what I know about right now is I sit here and I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm very jittery. I can feel these energies moving through. And I've come to, I kind of like call myself a spiritual scientist because I love to look at patterns. I like to experiment with things. And the patterns that I have been noticing, I've noticed this throughout this year when keeping track of the solar flares, the higher solar activity versus these waves of energy that come in. And what I have noticed, I'm going to take some of my water. Please be drinking tons and tons of water. It really helps us to anchor in these energies. And I get super thirsty during, like, when I'm in the integration phase. So we're integrating. So you might feel jittery. You might feel like electrical kind of shocks going through. The other thing, I'm gonna be totally honest, like my gut has been backed up. Like it does not want to function. So I've been doing a lot of water and minding my belly area. Even our dogs, like Priya the other 2 days ago was just really lethargic. She was throwing up. She had really bad gas. The poor girl, just you could tell she wasn't feeling it. So even our animals are moving through these high solar activity, solar days. However, here's the pattern that I have noticed. I want to make sure I'm sticking to my notes here. The patterns leading up to these solar flares, okay, is really interesting. What I have noticed is when these waves come in, they come in right before, when I say these waves of densities, when all of a sudden you're good in one moment and all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, I'm super angry, or I'm frustrated, or I'm triggered. You're triggered in some way. And now we know that this is energy that has to move through. There's something that is having to be purged. There is something that has to be cleansed. And I was just flying high after, the first week of peace talks. And then what's today, Sunday? I think it was Friday. All of a sudden I was like, whoa, I'm pissed off. I'm so pissed. And what we know in this conversation at this point is we know how to work through this. We know when we're triggered that that's the time to go inward. It's not the time to project it. And boy, I was having the struggle not to project it on the one human that's in my space, and that is my husband. And I was looking for all the reasons to be mad at him, and vice versa. So, he doesn't handle these waves like that, like I do. So there was some projection. So that even triggered me even more. And so Friday and Saturday, and then the dog was like farting up a storm, like you could tell she had a belly ache. So like it was the kind of like fart when, and I say this laughing, but just so you know it's real. I'm real here. When she would pass gas, man, it would like piss me off. I'd be like, God, that's awful. It would like clear us out. And I had to go into, I have my own little bedroom where I have like all my cards and my crystals, and I shut the door and just shut everybody out because otherwise I knew I was triggered, and I wasn't to the point where I could, I didn't want to have to work to control it and not project it. So I just went in with my little journal, and I just journaled all my frustrations out. And I didn't connect the dots. I have enough evidence now that when these waves come through, there's typically going to be high solar activity. But I was too pissed off to think it from a higher level of intelligence, right? So when we are kind of down in those, and we can't use critical thinking doesn't happen in these realms. And I was in anger, and And nothing really, like, Bud and I didn't have, like, an argument. It was like nothing. It was just like it was just those things, like, all the little things built up all in one day, and I was just annoyed. So I was here. So when we're here, I couldn't think like, I mean, I couldn't think logically. I couldn't critical think. So it didn't dawn on me at that point. But then last night, we finally, we were both kind of like, "Meh." So I was like, well, let's take the dogs for a walk. And we took the dogs for a walk, and it was really interesting because even the environment was so constricting. So what I mean by that, as we walked to the little park that we go to, there was this cloud, this huge, I was like, this is a huge mothership. So, for those of you like clouds or mothership kind of things, that you can call it a huge cloud, but there was a big, thick cloud, and it was really sitting low, like it was low to us. And it's been cooler here, but the humidity came in all of the sudden. So this cloud just descends on us, came out of nowhere, really. And it just brought this like humidity that was so oppressive. So it did not help. It did not help our emotional well-being at that point. And as we're walking, Bud's just sweating. I'm like, I don't like sweating. Whenever, but I used to say to my kids, like, you're making me start to sweat. And they'd be like, oh no. Like when I start sweating, I get even more pissed. So I'm like, we're walking dogs and I'm sweating. And I said to Bud, I was like, it's so oppressive right now. It's so oppressive. And there were some kids playing soccer at the park, and you could tell that they were triggered. They were just like kids being kids, but they were loud, they were aggressive towards each other and yelling, and you could just feel in the air, you could feel frustration. You could feel the constriction, right? You could feel it in the environment. You could feel it. I could feel it in Bud. I could feel it in the dogs. I could feel it in myself. I could feel it in these kids. So everything just felt like, woo. And when we are in these lower realms, we're constricted, and the environment was constricted. I just want to make sure. And then I got this right. Yeah. So then I went to bed. I came back, showered, went to bed. And at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, I woke up and I could just feel, I was like, man, I'm still angry. So I got up, came out to the living room, made myself some tea, was sitting here, and I was meditating. I was asking for help. I'm like, can you please help me release this? Can you please help me release this? The interesting thing is, overnight, as I was sitting there, when the wind picked up, I mean, like really gusty kind of winds, and all of a sudden the clouds rolled out. This cold front came in, and I sat on the couch and just like let the wind come through the door and just like blow, like cleanse me. It's still really windy now, just cleansing my being. Drank my tea, and I went back to bed and slept really well. And when I woke up early to take the dogs, and I hike up the hillside here to this beautiful spot. No one's ever up there. It's quiet. I can let the dogs just run, and I can just sit. And then when I got up there, the wind was like just the perfect, beautiful breeze. The water, it like all of a sudden, everything had just cleared out. That constrictive, the environment felt lighter. It felt brighter. The water was so blue. The sky was beautiful. It was just crystal blue. The wind was perfect. The sun was the perfect like warmth on my back as I sat, because it comes up, over the hillside from behind where I was sitting. The dogs were just playing and having a good time. And I just sat there, and quite frankly, I just prayed and I said, thank you. A couple hours ago, I was sitting on this couch and I was praying for help because I felt like I was drowning in this constriction. And now, hours later, but when I woke up, I looked at my phone and I saw that there were the solar flares. And at that point, I was like, there's more evidence. What I'm finding what I'm finding is when we feel these constrictive waves come through and we are triggered, we are being asked to cleanse and clear those denser parts of us. And I swear, I feel like there are days where I'm like, I am done. I am cleared up. And then another wave comes up. I'm like, more? Oh my God. And more came in. And I just, I did what we are called to do. And it's just to sit in it. I didn't numb it. I didn't do anything but drink tea and pray for help. And help came. And help came in the form of a solar flare, of light, those scalar waves. Even the sun constricts before it blasts out this solar scalar waves. I did in the daily tune in somewhere in there. I did a part of like what these scalar waves do. So when we say love and light to somebody, or we say, oh, there's solar flares, what does that really mean? I'm going to actually do a video throughout sometime this week that really goes through what happens when we are hit by these scalar waves, because it goes all the way through us down to our DNA. And I want to take you through a logical process so that you understand this is not just some spiritual woo woo stuff. It's not just some love and light, there's something physically happening to us when these come in. But the way I describe it is it's kind of like we get showered. We get all of that toxins, when you're sweaty and you're gross, and I hike up the hill and I get all sweaty with the dogs. When I come back from my walks, I come in and I shower to get all of the toxins off, to wash myself, to cleanse myself physically with water. The sun, the sun is our source. It is guided by something much, much more infinite than us. It is guided by the creator. And when it feels that its people, its creations is needing a cleanse, it will send this solar energy to us to cleanse us. So it made sense when I woke up and I thought, I feel good. I feel lighter. And then I went up to the top of the mountain hill. It's not a mountain, but it's bigger than a hill, and sat up there, and I saw the entire world in front of me was much more illumined. It was brighter. It's rained here a couple of days, so the greens were greener. The world just felt cleansed. So we are getting a cleansing. And in order to get a cleansing, we have to get dirty a little bit. We have to cleanse these densities. And I know it's hard, and I know it doesn't feel comfortable. It's like I know what's happening and I'm pretty in tune with this stuff, and it's not easy. And yet we have chosen to know about this so that we can navigate these moments and these days and these times, so that we can heal enough to be able to then share. And I know what it's like to be like, hey, we got a solar flare, it's coming in, we'll feel better here in a few minutes or a few days, and have someone grumble to you because they're still in their constriction. But at the same time, as long as we keep sharing this and we keep modeling that, oh, here's more evidence, this is what happens, you'll feel lighter now. In the next few days, we will feel lighter as we integrate. Right now, we're still in the integration phase. So today, you might be feeling jittery. You might be feeling your stomach might be weird. My stomach actually loosened loosened up a little bit today. The last few days it's been pretty. It didn't want to move. So there's movement happening. There's healing happening. So this is where we not we have to, but this is where we are being asked to learn patience, to look at the patterns, to look at how you move through these denser days, and how you accept, how you open, and how receptive are you to these scalar waves when these solar energies come through. Because we have been walloped, we've gotten kind of like fire hose, like it wasn't like a nice trickle of solar energy. The sun was like, oh, like people need cleansing. So I said but like it fire hosed us with energy. So we were like, wow, like this for a while, which is why you may have felt extremely triggered in the last few days. So just be patient with yourself. Be patient with the people around us. Be patient because they may not know the stuff like we do. They may not be as comfortable with the understanding yet. So we do have to be more patient. But this then leads into what we are being prepared for in October. And this is October is the theme is freedom. I almost like jumped for joy when I was doing those readings because the dragonfly came out. And if you'll notice, the icon on my YouTube channel is the dragonfly. It's the symbol for the light of the world, and we are getting bathed in light. It is the symbol of freedom. It came out twice in the reading for October. And I love that because it was like a double sign. Like, do you ever see the meme on Instagram where it's like, hey, universe, can you send me a sign? And then it's like, thanks. Can you send me a signier sign? Because like sometimes we see a sign and we're like, that's a coincidence. Can you send me another one? Well, in one reading, we got the dragonfly twice. So I feel so confident to sit here and say, trust that the freedom is our choice to experience in October. Things will open up. Energy will open up. This 1010 portal that's coming up here in a few days, it will be very powerful if we, not if, well, yeah, if we spend time with it. And the portal energy is when we sit in contemplation of what is it I want to be creating? What is it? What is it that I am ready to receive that gives me freedom? How do I want to receive freedom? I have been journaling nonstop all the ways that bring me freedom, that I want to experience, that I want to see in my world, that I want to hear in my world, that I want to feel in my world. Because remember, this is the year that we see it in our physical worlds. Heaven on earth starts to come into our hologram, right? Our consciousness is creating reality. So when we are tuned into this heaven on earth and we are knowing what is it I want in my heaven, what does my heaven on earth look like? My contemplation points for you is, what do I want to be free? How do I want to experience freedom in October? Start that now. Start looking for it and start to create the energy of it as well. This is when it's not like, oh, I just want this little bit of freedom. That'll make me so happy. We're going big. If you want to create your heaven on earth, I am going big with my intention. It's kind of like that saying of shoot for the moon and you'll get the stars. I like it the opposite way. Shoot for the stars and maybe you'll get the moon or whatever, like let's go big and maybe we get this instead of just this. So think big, feel big, allow these energies to come in and wash all that's not serving you away. Embrace the space between that we talked about on episode 3. Allow this space. I'm literally in my personal life. There's space. I feel space. I feel distance with my husband at the moment. And at the same time, I know it's because there is just stuff that's being cleared that's no longer serving us. So the space can be a very healing space. It can be the place where you get illuminated and know what you need to let go of and what you just need to allow the space to heal. There's a very, very subtle energy between the two. There's a subtle energy of this is not healthy. I need to completely let it go. And there's also this is really uncomfortable, but it matters a lot to me. And I just need the space and the energy to materialize itself, to cleanse and clear. And that's where I am sitting at the moment. So the space is the most beautiful place to be in if you're feeling disconnected. You do have to discern whether or not this is something. Can you see yourself? Can you see yourself moving forward without this thing? Is that in your highest and best good? Or is it just simply that you have to let some time and space occur to have the energy work out? So it's a really interesting day to come together. I want to end with something. My mom actually, I don't know if you're on here, Mom, but Oh my Lord, have mercy. No, we got some more solar flares coming through right now. Right, we had a moderate one and a minor one. We had a minor one 26 minutes ago, and we've been on here 29, so it's 3 minutes. Oh, 369. Tesla. It's like if you only, he says, if you only knew the magnificence of 369, you would know the keys to the universe. 3 minutes into this, the sun sent us a minor solar flare to get us started. And then 5 minutes ago, so that's 24 minutes. Ooh, that's not a 369. Okay, whatever. But still, we got a moderate one. So we are getting a cleansing just as we are recording this. That's an amazing coincidence. It's amazing. So, which I don't believe in. It's a beautiful synchronicity. So we are being helped. What we are talking about now, our freedom is being amplified. It's being accelerated. This could not be a better moment. So thank you, Gus, God, Universe, Spirit, for sending us two solar flares while we're talking about accelerated freedom. I just started sweating too. We are getting a cleansing all together. Our whole environment, our entire collective here is getting a cleansing. So this takes me into this beautiful reading that I'm going to read to you, the end today. So this is going to be kind of how we anchor in. I'm not going to do a normal affirmative prayer like I do at the end to anchor us in. I'm going to share this beautiful reading that my mom sent, and this is something written by Donna Ashworth. And it takes us beautifully into October. And before I start reading, I will remind you that if you have felt peace, or you think it is the coolest thing ever that I decided to do this at this time and we get cleansed together, and you think that's really cool, and you feel some peace or some joy, or you got a little giggle, please consider donating to this platform to fill my storehouse, to keep energy coming in so that I can keep giving to you. I did put some donation links on. It's your favorite, however you want to donate. I'll take it anyway. PayPal, buy me a coffee, or through my website. So I put the links on here. So if you are feeling the call to donate and give back, I would very much appreciate it. So I'm going to take a sip of my water because we want to anchor. I think if you have water in front of you, let's all just take a sip together because we can all anchor this beautiful energy in together. And I'm really going to do, I call them light packets, like little videos of things that will give you more understanding. So I'm going to do a light packet video this week sometime on what happens when we receive this light, like what happens to our body and our energy, and why it's so important, why it's so exciting to get these beautiful showers of scalar energy. So here it is. Okay. So if you could, if you want to, you can just sit back, close your eyes, and just listen. There comes a day somewhere in the middle of every woman's life. If you're here in your male, like this is the divine feminine. Let's just call it woman, the feminine. I'm going to actually start over and do it that way. There comes a day somewhere in the middle of the divine feminine's life where Mother Nature herself stands behind us and wraps her arms around our shoulders, whispering, "It's time. You have taken enough now. It's time to stop growing up, stop growing older, and start growing wiser and wilder." I got the chills. There are adventures still waiting on you, and this time you will enjoy them with the vision of wisdom and the companionship of hindsight, and you will really let go. It's time to stop the madness of comparison and the ridicule of schedule and conformity, and start experiencing the joys that a life free of containment and guilt can bring. She will shake your shoulders gently and remind you that you've done your bit. You've given too much, cared too much, you've suffered too much. You've bought the book, as it were, and worn the t-shirt. Amen. Worse, you've worn the chains and carried the weight of a burden far too heavy for your shoulders. It's time, she will say. Let it go. Really let it go, and feel the freedom of the fresh, clean spaces within you. Fill them with discovery, love, and laughter. Fill yourself so full you will no longer fear what is ahead, and instead you will greet each day with the excitement of a child. She will remind you that if you choose to stop caring what other people think of you, and instead what you think of you, you will experience a new era of your life you've never dreamed possible. It's time, she will say, to write the ending or new beginning of your own story. My mom sent me that, I think, on Thursday of last week, and I didn't know the theme for October. I hadn't done that reading yet. And the theme for October was freedom. So literally, as I was doing that reading, I'm thinking of this reading that she sent me because it's all about freedom and it tied in so beautifully with the Jubilee year. This is our year of freedom, and I want to experience it with you all. And it is just time to let the shackles go. The war inside of us, not ignore it, bury it, just let it go. When these waves come through and you're triggered, just go within and say a prayer and just be with it. Let it go for the last time. I don't know what it was that I passed the other day, but I will tell you it's the last time I will be at that level. If I ignore it or numb it, I've got to come back to it, and there's going to be more on it. So the more that we can be in the triggers and thank the triggers for coming and be like, yeah, I'm feeling pretty heavy today, sweet, and we start to approach these things, we have experienced freedom. That's emotional freedom, and emotional freedom frees our spirit. And when the spirit is free, when we are truly free spirits, our world is free, our reality is free. And that's what we're working towards in the manifestation and the materialization of this Jubilee year, is the materialization of a free reality. And it is our choosing. We write the story. And I look forward to writing my story alongside with every one of you that are on this chat. I'm so grateful for you being here. I'm grateful for holding myself accountable for being here, because yesterday I was like, I'm not doing that for that peace talks. I was so pissed off, but I knew I was going to do it, and I knew it'd have some great story to tell. And I don't know if this is great, but it feels great to share it because I'm completely on the other side of it now, and I do feel lighter. It does work. This process is the way, and it is the way to freedom. Thank you all so much. I recommend going and looking at those readings because they're kind of good. They're very much in connection with what we're talking about. And I will see you on Tuesday. And I look forward to being here. Thanks so much, everyone. Mwah. Bye. Oh, my ears still, like my frequency, my ears went. So anyway.